In this video, I'm going to talk to you about formatting backgrounds in PowerPoint using gradient fill. You can see right now I have one title slide that's open and it has just a plain white background. I'm going to add a new slide, and the slide that I'm getting here is one that's got a couple of placeholders in it. I want to change that just to a plain blank slide, so I'll come up to Layout and select Blank. Now I want to change the background of this slide, so I'm going to right-click here inside this slide area and select Format Background. And that opens up the Format Background task pane over here on the right side of the screen. And I can select the radio button for Gradient Fill. And that enables all of the options down here for gradients. Now remember, a gradient is a word that describes an angle or a slope. It's really talking about the degrees at which light is coming onto a slide. And so right now you can see that if you could think about maybe this being the sun or maybe a flashlight, and right now the light is all coming from the upper left-hand corner and coming in this way. But down here in the lower right-hand corner, we have the darker blues. But as we get closer up here to the middle, then we get to the much lighter blues because it's being drowned out by all of this light coming in. So pretty much the angle of light across this slide right now is diagonal. And we can see that over here because the angle setting right here is 45 degrees. I can change this by moving it from, say, 45 to 90, and now the darker blues are at the bottom, and the white light's all coming in equally along the top, and it sort of blends in here in the middle. This would be a horizontal gradient at 90 degrees. I can just hold down the Increase Angle button, and I can just spin this around in a full circle. It's only going to go 360 degrees, and then I'd have to back it all the way back to get to 0. But you can just change the angle at which the lights are occurring on your screen. Now, if you don't want to do all of this customization, there are some preset gradients. I could come here and just select something like this. They have other settings in here that I could select, and you can just pick one that works for you. Or you can come to the type of preset gradient, and right now we have radial selected, but there's also linear and rectangular and path and shade from the title. Shade from the title works best whenever you have placeholders in it. But these are the options that you have in gradient fills for some of these preset gradients. Now, a lot of the fun comes in when you work with the gradient stops. The stops are these sliders right here. This is a stop, and this is a stop, and this is a stop. I want to go back and put this on a linear gradient, and we'll see if we can just get something that's sort of normal with a 90-degree. That'll work. Now, what I want to do at the top here, I'm going to make sure that this is selected as, let's say, just white. And I'm going to come to the very bottom of these sliders, these stops right here, and I'm going to select maybe the darkest blue. Now, the sliders that are here in the middle just gives us places in the gradient where we can cause the intensity of color to change. So we can just move these up. We can change all of the ways that we want this color to be graded on this slide by just moving these around. If I don't want this particular stop here, I can just slide right over, make sure it's highlighted, select it, and come over and click the little red X, and it deletes that one particular stop and just leaves me with 3. If I wanted to have more stops, I can just click right here and add just as many stops as I want to add into here. If I want to change the color of some of these, I will select this middle one, and maybe I'll change this one to sort of an orange color. And I can just continue to work with these until I get the arrangement of light and color the way that I want it to be. So here is a band of orange across the middle. If I wanted to change the gradient or the angle at which this is, I could just come in and just spin it around till I get to 360 degrees. So you can just work with your colors here and create bands of color across your screen the way that you want them to be. But you don't have to live with the full color as I'm doing here with this orange band in the middle, because I can also come in here and make this particular orange band, which is highlighted, I can come in here and adjust the transparency of this one. Now I have the lighter shades of orange blending in with the blue, but right there in the very middle, I have total transparency, and I'm starting to get that white background coming back through. I can also, I'm going to take this back down, about halfway on transparency. I'm going to come back to brightness here, and brightness normally is going to be found at about 0. That's the normal setting. Because if I move the slider for brightness to the right, then that's like adding more light. So the brighter it gets, it's like you're pouring in a lot of light, and the darker it gets down towards the bottom would be like pouring in more black. So if I slide it to the left, it's going to get darker and darker. I'll slide it all the way over to the right, then we're going to go back to that white look again, same as if it were transparent. So you can have all of these options for brightness, transparency, position, angle, the direction that the light is coming in at. You just have every kind of setting in the world down here to make this as customized as you want it to be and as dramatic as you want it to be. You can just make almost a rainbow of colors in here. Just think about all the different settings here for gradient fills.